Have you ever played a game that left you scratching your head trying to understand the plot? There is just something that happened that made absolutely no sense and left you dumbfounded. A character either had an epiphany out of nowhere, or maybe an important item magically fell from the sky into your hands. Some of us may laugh it off and pay no attention to it, but here at The Gamer, we leave no stone unturned. So without further ado, here are 10 plot holes in video games that make no sense. Before we begin, don't be shy to hit that subscribe button and stay up to date with our awesome videos in the future. Heavy Rain. Why do Ethan's blackouts make him wake up with evidence? Heavy Rain is a game that almost got everything right. The game had a few bugs, involved spending a lot of time on mundane activities, and had inconsistent voice acting. But other than that, there was nothing to complain about. David Cage wrote a masterpiece, but even masterpieces are far from perfect. In the game, there are 4 playable characters who try to solve the mystery of the origami killer, who drowns his victims on days of heavy rainfall. I get it, it's the name of the game. One of the 4 playable characters, Ethan Mars, is prone to blackouts since he was hit by a car, trying to save his son. Some say Ethan's blackouts only happen to distract you from Shelby's big reveal at the end of the game. Others say that Cage just wanted a twist ending no matter how convoluted it was. Either way, Ethan's blackouts only exist to throw you off, and that's not very nice. The problem isn't necessarily that Ethan has these blackouts. It's that he wakes up with incriminating evidence in the form of origami models. The same origami models that the killer leaves on his victims. How bored is the origami killer to follow Ethan around 24/7 and lay down a beautiful origami model into his hands as he falls asleep? How does the killer even know that Ethan has a medical condition that causes him to have blackouts? That is one pretty big plot hole that cannot be fixed with a simple explanation, Mr. Cage. BIOSHOCK. How did Jack survive on land without any parents? Like Heavy Rain, BIOSHOCK is a well-known gem of a game. Featuring amazing storytelling and great character development, the game is as polished as they come. The lack of a death penalty may aggravate the hardcore gamer, but the game is beloved by many. Once you reach the end of the game, you learn that your playable character is known as Jack and was grown by the scientists of Fontaine Futuristics, including Dr. Yi Sun-chong and Bridget Tenenbaum. It's hard to believe, but by the age of 1, Jack weighed 58 pounds and was as strong as a 19-year-old. Just imagine what a ripped 1-year-old baby would look like. Just think about it. He was then summoned by Fontaine and got onto a plane and then forced it to crash, taking refuge in the beautiful underwater city known as Rapture. When in Rapture, you get to know Andrew Ryan, the founder of the city, and you realize very quickly that he is in absolutely no control. Now, I understand that it may be hard to follow, but it only gets more complicated. It's been established that Jack has been given growth hormones to let him mature as quickly as possible, but even the images and memories of his parents have been implanted into his brain. So the question is, how did Jack survive as an abandoned infant without any parents? Did Andrew Ryan find some kind of way to encode 20 years of experiences into his brain? What did Jack do in the years between arriving on the surface and being summoned? It looks like the overrated final boss battle against Fontaine was being hyped up so much that you forgot to notice this gigantic plot hole. Gears of War 3. Why is the leader of the Locusts a human woman? The Gears of War series takes place in an Earth-like planet called Sarah and follows the conflict between humanity, the subterranean reptilians known as the Locusts, as well as their mutated peers, the Lambent and the Swarm. The 4 groups are fighting over a substance called emulsion that has incredible energy potential. While many of us wish this substance actually existed in real life, since it would solve a lot of potential energy crises, it would most likely just start another war instead. The phenomenal Gears of War 3 is always teasing us with full-on exposition. We were all expecting Queen Mira, the leader of the Locusts, to be revealed as Marcus's mother at the end of the game, only to see credits roll instead. From the fact that Marcus's dad, Adam, discusses his relationship with Queen Mira to her appearance looking shockingly human compared to the rest of her reptilian locusts, we were led to believe that she would be Marcus's mom, but I guess the writers just removed it from their script. Gears of War missed a big opportunity for some solid storytelling and created a huge plot hole in the meantime. If you look at Adam's research notes in the game, it's revealed that the emulsion is said to have active sentient properties. This could mean that either Mira was an unwilling human host after a dig gone wrong, or she was created on Sarah as some kind of test tube super baby. We did not gain more information about Mira's beginnings in Gears of War 4, so hopefully Gears of War 5 will have an explanation. But I wouldn't hold my breath for that. Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. How could Desmond stab Lucy? While the Assassin's Creed series is known for its incredible combat scenes, it is also known for their ridiculous plots. Ever since Desmond was addressed directly by a trans-dimensional god called Minerva, the series has been descending into madness. The game's typically centered around Desmond Miles, a member of the Assassin Order who uses a machine called the Animus to attempt to relive the memories of his past assassin ancestors. The overarching storyline in Assassin's Creed is that an ancient race of gods once commanded all of humanity with the pieces of Eden that you will see across every game in the series. Eventually, humanity became immune to the effects of these pieces of Eden, and naturally, those who were immune would become the assassins who would one day form the Assassin's Creed to plot a way to usurp their predecessors. If they are focused on defeating their predecessors, why would assassin-blooded Desmond suddenly get mind-controlled by digital god Juno to stab fellow assassin Lucy in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood? This was an endgame shocker that left us gamers both kerfuffled and perplexed for quite some time. More information on why this event happened did not come to fruition until the Lost Archive DLC for Assassin's Creed Revelations was released a full year later. In the Lost Archive, it is explained that Lucy was actually a triple agent working as a Templar spy, spying on the assassins and not the other way around, which is why Juno mind-controlled Desmond to kill her. Well, that explains everything. This is one of the few plot holes on this list that was actually covered up successfully. Metal Gear Solid 4. Why can Raiden channel lightning? The Metal Gear Solid series is known for their tactical espionage action. It actually says so on the cover of every game. And these games are some of the best there are in that regard. In Metal Gear Solid 4, one of Snake's companions, Raiden, makes a long-anticipated return to the series near the game's conclusion. Due to being used as a test dummy for the Patriots, who are a secret organization controlling the United States, Raiden is now an armless cyborg with a synthetic body from the lower jaw down who attacks with a foot-mounted sword. The Patriots can rebuild him. They have the technology, but they forgot the arms. He's still pretty cool, though. During the Raiden return scene, he says, "I am lightning, the rain transformed," while lightning emits from his cyborg body. He actually uses the lightning to take out some of the guards looking for Snake. It's awesome. The funny thing is, though, he never had this power before. He didn't have the ability to channel lightning in Metal Gear Solid 2, so you would at least expect these powers to be usable in Metal Gear Rising, which is set 4 years after Metal Gear Solid 4, right? But they're not. This means that being a cyborg does not give him lightning powers. So where the heck did this power come from? Come on, Hideo Kojima, you can't just tease us with this amazing power and then take it away from us. It's not fair. Fallout 3. Why can't someone immune to radiation activate the Purifier? Fallout 3 was a step in a new direction for the series. No longer was the Fallout series just an open-world third-person computer game. Fallout 3 was the first Fallout game to be released for console. It was also the first game in the series that used 3D graphics and real-time combat, as well as allow the player to experience the game in first person. The game was very successful, winning multiple Game of the Year awards. Fallout 3 is set in Washington, D.C., following a devastating nuclear war. When you get close to the end of the game, you're tasked with activating a water purifier to give clean water to the entire capital wasteland. Despite the fact that there's no shortage of clean water in your inventory, activating the purifier is not an easy task since there's radioactive material all over the place. This begs the question, why not let someone who's immune to radiation activate the purifier? Why does your character have to go through all this effort to do something that a super mutant would be able to do so much quicker? I just imagine someone staring at their TV screen, scratching their head in total confusion, asking themselves the exact same question. I know I did. Well, one of your companions, Fox, is a super mutant, and even he can't activate the purifier. This was so bad that it wasn't until Broken Steel DLC that game developer Bethesda added the option to send one of your companions to do the deed instead of your radiation-soaked character. While this was a ridiculous plot hole, Bethesda was able to come up with an explanation just like Ubisoft did with Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. Red Dead Redemption, Jack Marston's combat abilities. Oh, Red Dead Redemption. Hopefully when the sequel comes out, it won't have such a glaring plot hole. All jokes aside, Red Dead Redemption was a very unique game when it was released in 2010. The Western genre hasn't seen much love in the video game world, so it was great to see Rockstar give it their best shot and deliver. Following the death of John Marston towards the end of the game, you play as his son Jack. John Marston was a career criminal, and his son was trained to work on a farm. It would be safe to assume that if Jack Marston wanted to follow in his father's footsteps, that he would find it extremely difficult, right? Well, if you played the game, you know that's not the case. Jack definitely feels like he's been trained to be a great fighter, probably one of the best of his generation. This is incredibly surprising considering that Jack only had 3 years to get himself in shape after the death of his father, and that's not even considering the amount of time he spent working on the farm and taking care of his mother. It's a little ridiculous if you ask me. Despite seldomly using a firearm, he is able to use a weapon just as effectively as his dad. Now, obviously the game wouldn't be as smooth of a ride if Jack handled significantly worse than his old man, but if they had a skill development system like in Grand Theft Auto 4 where your shooting stat increased the more you fire a weapon, that would have been a little more ideal, right? Maybe they'll mention how Jack became a combat extraordinaire in Red Dead Redemption 2. Only time will tell. Mass Effect 3. How did Shepard's crew get so far away so fast? Sadly, Mass Effect 3 is overshadowed for its questionable ending, but it is actually a great game that won Best RPG at the VGX Awards in 2012. Just like the previous 2 entries in the series, you play as Commander Shepard, who takes the fight to the Reapers. In the game, there are constant opportunities for you to shape Shepard into the type of character you want. From gender to personality, everything about Shepard is customizable, which allows Mass Effect to be one of the most immersive video game series out there. At the end of the game, you are in the fight of your life against the Reapers, who are laying waste to your beloved Earth one city at a time. After hours and hours of character building and listening to brilliant dialogue, you start to care less about the ending and more about experiencing it all with the characters you grew to love since the first Mass Effect. But in one fell swoop, your friends go from literally fighting by your side to being on the Normandy spaceship with the pilot Joker as they try to escape the blast radius of the mass relays. Not to mention that the Normandy is supposedly miles away from Earth. Having your party members literally warp from one place to another during the epic finale of the series is completely ridiculous, considering how close you got to them throughout the games. The ending was so confusing that game developer BioWare had to release a DLC rightfully titled Extended Cut to further explain the ending. What's with all these games needing DLC to fill in their dang plot holes? Batman: Arkham Origins. How does past Batman have all of his future gadgets? If Batman isn't your favorite superhero, he's definitely up there. Batman may not have the ability to fly or punch someone so hard that they fly 30 feet into the air, but he does have almost every gadget known to man. The Batman you play, as in the Arkham series, is no different. Following Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, developer Rocksteady has amassed an impressive amount of trinkets and gadgets for the superhero, with one in particular standing out: the prototype grapple hook, mentioned to still be in its testing phase. The grappling hook was not in the prototype stage in Arkham Origins, yet it was in prototype stage in Arkham City. If Arkham Origins is set before both Asylum and City, how and why could it possibly turn up in the game? Did Batman also have a time machine as one of his fancy gadgets? It's not even just that, but the fact that Bane knew his identity yet magically forgot it after taking the Titan formula, and the fact that the Electrocutioner's gloves popped up only to never be seen again, made Arkham Origins to be one of the least impressive Arkham games to be released by Rocksteady. Final Fantasy VII. Why can't you use a Phoenix down on Aeris? Final Fantasy is the iconic turn-based RPG that set the standard for the genre when it was released in North America in 1990. It is amazing to see how the series has progressed into an action RPG throughout the years, but I guess changes are bound to happen after you release 15 games. Final Fantasy VII has one of the most famous plot holes in video game history, as well as one of the most devastating deaths. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty, we need to understand exactly what a Phoenix Down is and how it works. A Phoenix Down is an item that is used to bring back party members from a down state and not death. That is a point that the Final Fantasy community really wants you to know. That being said, why not use the revive technique you learn from the materia you find around the world? Materia are items that you find in Final Fantasy VII to learn spells, boost stats, or learn other abilities. One of the spells you can learn from these materia is Revive, which does the exact same thing as a Phoenix Down, except you have to sacrifice yourself in the process. If you look up the word revive in the dictionary, you will see that the definition is to restore life or consciousness. If that is the case, why can't you just use revive on playable character Aeris when she dies by main antagonist Sephiroth's blade? She was a part of your party, so you should have been able to use revive to restore her back to life. Also, what's with the tiles of the floor changing color during the cutscene? It is a very odd scene, and the community seems to believe that she was not supposed to die at all. So Aeris' death was so shocking that it single-handedly started some conspiracy theories. Thank you for watching this video. Some of those plot holes were absolutely ridiculous, but luckily the game developers were able to cover some of them up. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and let us know about any plot holes you may have missed in the comments section below. Also, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button to keep up to date with our amazing video. Have a good one, and see you in the next video.